this one. Let's have a look at the grid then and see how our drivers line up for the KZ2s for their pre-final. It's Tommy van der Strauss on pole position ahead of Kevin Stehauer in second place. Jens Truer in third place with Jeffrey Fix in fourth. Jake Weston in fifth place with Enzo Boll in sixth. Dominic Reuters in seventh place with Daniel Tenbach in eighth. Renzo Alibats in ninth place with Robin Glerum in 10th. Dirk van Silfhout in 11th place with Milan van Vinden in 12th. Ryan Kiewicz-Bosch in 13th place with Sita van Miert in 14th. Jelta Boomer in 15th place with Giovanni Vitavine in 16th place. Julian Carmen in 17th place with Jori Mollema in 18th place. Luca Bremer in 19th with Joro van Duivenvoort in 20th. Rick McMoyervies in 21st place. Sarah Volters in 22nd. And Nelson Berghaus rounds off our 23 drivers ahead of the KZ2 pre-final. So drivers here just making their way across the line are one of our front row. It is our pole sitter, Tommy van der Strauss, who makes his way across the line to start the second lap of the warm-ups, if you like. Very aggressive warm-ups from the 2.55 there at the very least. Enzo Boll and Dominic Reuters really going side by side as much as they can as they make their way across the start finish line, getting the heat into the tyres as much as possible. So important for that. The track is much cooler than it was yesterday. So it's really important to get the heat into the tyres as much as possible. Keep an eye on Tenbach starting in 8th place. He's 4th in the championship and he'll be looking to get his way back up the order as much as he possibly can. It'll be our second standing start of the day. Of course, it's our KZ2s and KZ2 Masters that get the standing starts. All others are rolling starts. And we're just seeing now our leaders making their way towards those double stationary yellows to slow down and be prepared to get your grid slot. Last chance as well to get some heat into the tyres, especially the rear tyres. Starting to see some burnouts just after the left-hander. Again, the 201 of Jens Truer really aggressive with the wheel to try and get some heat into the front. It puts the wheels, puts the rears, at least one of them, up a little bit with that technique, but whatever technique works will be ones. So our leaders then make their way to take their respective grid slots then. Of course, they have to keep the revs high, they have to keep the revs going. They do not want the karts to stall on the grid. And now, as the front two, you're just waiting now for the rest of the grid to form up behind you. A look over the shoulder from Tommy just to see how long it's going to take. But Tommy's positioned that kart towards the left, so clearly looking to see if he can close the door already on Kevin Stehauer. But no, we're going round again. So, and initially I think it's a problem with the is that the 258? I think it might be Luca Bremer who has stalled on the grid, or at least come into some sort of problem. So the race start is aborted. We will go again, and Luca has got himself going again. Now, will he be able to take his grid slot? My theory is probably not. It will take him a while to get back up there. He will be starting in 19th place, so he's got 4 or 5 positions to find, so not impossible. But, there's another problem there as well. Is that the 209 I see? Of Nelson Berghaus. I think it may be one of our cameras. Who is, I think that might be race done before it's even started, unfortunately, for Nelson Berghaus in the number 209. He was due to start in 23rd place, but it looks like he will not take that spot even. So, our drivers make their way around then to have another attempt at the standing start. First one was aborted due to a kart on the track that was not running at the time, which was Luca Brima. So the start was aborted for that. We do it all over again, the starting procedure. Again, looking at the likes of the front row. 254 to keep an eye on. Tommy van der Straus. Once again, he's pointed the kart left. And we're going around again because there's a problem this time for the 208. So the 208 is Milan van Vinden, who does get the kart going again. So the second aborted start this time around. And I saw one driver almost look up to the heavens in frustration. They do say, though, third time is the charm. But I wonder, you know, it's a case of how many times we go. And looking at the live timing, yes, the clock has started to tick down. So technically the race has started, but it hasn't started. If that makes any sense, send me a postcard. But in essence, the clock has started to tick down due to 2 aborted starts now. So the race will start when it will start, and we will race to what's left on the clock plus 2 laps. So that means there'll be less time for drivers to make their way up the order, which is not good news if your name is Daniel Tenbach, who starts this race in 8th place, 4th in the championship, looking to recover some positions ahead of the final. That's not the news he needed, nor wanted. However, for the third time, being the charm, ready to take this race start. And once again, van der Straus on the front row points the kart left towards Stayhover. And once again, the revs have to stay high. They have to make sure they keep those karts running for the third time of asking. With the race clock ticking down, we will race with what's left of it and 2 laps. So, eyes on the prize for the drivers. And we will see a green flag waved at the back. Eyes on the lights then for the pre-final of the KZ2s. Lights go on. Lights go out. We go racing. And it's a good start there for the 254. And that's into the lead for Tommy van der Straus as we head away in towards the hairpin for the first time of asking. What are the starts like? Well, one onto the grass there in the top half of the order, as our drivers will then make their way up and around to see what's going on then and how this order is going to be sorted. Saw one yellow flag. That's the. I think that's the. Well, one kart didn't make the did make the start, but not too far into the start and off at the first corner. So the first corner is under a yellow flag at the moment. However, we are racing and we have 7 minutes on the clock. We get racing, and it is the 254 of Tommy van der Straus who leads this race ahead of Stayhower in 2nd place. 3rd place then is Fix, and Glerum is in 4th place there. As there's got to be, I mean, for Nelson Berghaus, I'm sure he'd love to be in this race, but that's one of the best vantage points on the circuit, surely, to have a look at there. And there's battling at the top of the order then. That's a battle for 3rd place we saw then. So Fix and Glerum. Glerum with the fastest lap of the race in the number 216 for Robin Glerum. As our leaders now make their way through in towards the S section, in towards the hairpin. And back on the power we will go. And Tommy van der Straus leading this way then ahead of Stayhover and Fix in 3rd place. Line of stern at the moment, maybe a bit of battling further behind then, but everyone's staying. Oh, a spinner in the background there, up at the hairpin. Didn't quite catch who that was, but we might see as we make our way over the line to see who's dropped down the order. That will be a clue as to who it could have been. But our leader is pulling away. Van der Straus, 44.4 from him last lap around, was the fastest lap of the race and lapping at the moment 3/10 quicker than Stayhover behind him. As there's, oh, that was a bit of contact there. That was the 2:08. So Milan van Winden, who was one of the reasons for the aborted start, has clearly put that behind him and is determined to make her way up the field. Then there goes the 2:01. That's Jens Truer, who started this race up in third place. Very much keen and eager to make up some positions. The last time on the line, he was in sixth place. And they'll be wanting to get some moves done and dusted there. The 2:06 has pulled into the pit lane to retire from the race. That was Mick Movies. So Mick will take no further part in this race, it seems. But our leaders make their way through in towards the final corner with 4 minutes 48 on the clock. A look over the shoulder then for Van der Straus as he tries to work out what the gap is behind. To us, it's 1.2 seconds between himself and Stayhauer. Lots of battling to go on for here. A couple of games of chess to be involved with as well, as we watch on our drivers and see how they go. Very aggressive across the curbs there for one of them as we make our way through. I think it was the 2:16, which would have been Robin Glerham. Really aggressive with the curbs, attacking them as much as possible. It's clear that Robin Glerham has no reason to sort of fear the curbs being slightly damp anymore. I think he's made that perfectly clear. Battle for third place. Out of the hairpin we go, involving the 2:05. So that's Jeffrey Fix, who's in third place at the moment. Then it's Truer in fourth. Then it's Truer wanting that position back, but Fix right over the curbs then, as Truer looking to see what he can do to try and get this battle in there. You see Fix now starting to defend the position, defend the hairpin, and defend those lines. Fix still ahead at the moment, it seems. The 2:05 trying to hold back in this battle for third place. We've got slippery surface flags down at third to last and second to last corners, if you like. We now have a yellow flag. That's because the 2:54 has been off the track. That was it's Tommy van der Straus who was off the track there, picking up a little bit of gravel along the way. So perhaps that's where the slippery surface is, and that has allowed the 2:01 of Stayhauer to really close up behind at the moment. And it started raining again. That is huge. As if this race couldn't be littered with more drama, it has started to rain. And everyone on slick tyres with less than 3 minutes on the clock, they're just going to have to nurse it to the end. This is where all the karting lines come out. Who's going to be good enough in these very treacherous and slippery conditions? You can see how much Tommy van der Straus is struggling for grip out there in these stages. As we head away into what was the fast left-hander, you see now just treating that corner with so much respect at this point. It's a case of reacting to how little grip there is, and then which drivers are going to take advantage of this and make some moves up the order. Just over 2 minutes left on the clock. See how little grip there is out of the hairpin right now, with the rain starting to fall. And that will be a message for other teams in upcoming races. They'll be watching this race on with some intrigue. As there's the 2:14. I think that's a move for position then for Alibax. He's got past Robin Glerham there. And you see how tenderly these drivers are treating these corners now. They were attacking them not long ago. But the slick's just no longer working in these conditions. That's the 2:55 off. That's the 2:23 off as well. So that's Daniel Tenbach who's off the track there. And I think that was the 2:55 of Enzo Boll also taking to the grass as well. There is no grip on the slick tyres out there right now. Absolutely none. And keeping it on the island now, keeping it on the track is so important. As the 2:16 takes full advantage. That's Robin Glerham, who sees someone struggling out there with grip and position and decides to take full ownership of that one. Although I think he has lost that position, as I was just saying that. We have 50 seconds on the clock now and 2 more laps to follow. I wonder how Nelson Berghaus is feeling now. Does he still want to be a part of this race with rain falling down on slick tyres? And the rain is still falling at the circuit at this moment in time. It's all about now doing your best to keep it on the track. You see how slippery it is there. Just even going through a slight left-hander is tricky now. This is where drivers will just have to cope with these conditions right now as much as they can. Van der Straus still leads the way then. 5 seconds on the board, so we will have 3 laps left of this one. As the 204 runs a little bit wide through the fast left-hander. That's Walters. Oh, and a spinner as well down the order. It's the, I think that's the 271. That might be Jake Weston, who's had a bit of a spin there. Was running in 11th place last time at the line. Has now fallen down the order. And we see the 214 there losing out to Glerham. So that's Robin Glerham getting back past Renzo Alibax. So they've been swapping positions, left, right and centre. And another one to swap positions on as well. Our leader then just so gently treating the kart right now. So little grip on these tyres. The heat will have gone out of them. The grip's just not there. It's all about now just keeping it on the black stuff for the foreseeable. He's got 2 more laps to do that. As off onto the gravel there, taking a trip through it is the 214. That's Renzo Alibax. So I think he might have lost a position there. Just looking at it to the 255 of Enzo Boll, if that's right. He definitely would have lost a position. Perhaps it's to someone he would already ahead of. In any case, drivers struggling left, right and centre. Even our race leader is struggling as there's plenty of battling to do at the hairpin. But that's too deep there for the 265. And that was Dominic Reuters who tried to make some moves. He had to go the long way round, but perhaps that's where the grip really is. The one line you don't want to be on is the racing line. The other line is the grass, as one driver has just found out there. Making sure they pick it all up and it's in working order. But those lap times have climbed up to the 104s here. 104 from Van der Straus on the last lap. We are now onto our last lap, and that lap down has come down to a 105.5. So it's getting worse out there for the drivers. Just making sure they keep it all together and all facing the right way. So important at this stage. As another driver off onto the gravel, the 265, Dominic Reuters, off into the gravel there. But our race leader just making sure for Van der Straus to get this to the line. The rain falls after 2 aborted starts. I wonder when the rain would have hit if we hadn't had those 2 aborted starts. It might have come right at the end. Instead, it made its way about halfway through. In any case, we are going to see our race leader make his way through in towards the final couple of corners. And make sure he keeps it on the island for one last time. One last light up of the rear tyres. It's a win in the pre-final for Tommy Van der Straus, taking the victory there. Second place across the line will be the 211 of Kevin Stayhauser. And across the line there, the 235, who was a lap down there. And that is Glerham across the line to take 3rd place in this one. From 10th on the grid for Robin Glerham. He managed to get up to 3rd place. Fine drive from Glerham there. The rain really has started to pour at this stage. Alibax in 4th place there, Fix in 5th, Boll in 6th, Tenbach in 7th place. He gained 1 position from his starting place. But I think you can understand the circumstances that drivers have found it so tough out there. As we await our drivers to make their way across the line. Witteveen and Van Duivenvoort across the line with Bremer and Malema across the line as well, a lap down. And after that, a bit of a dramatic race, a bit of a shower. Let's dry off and see how our drivers go for our provisional results for the KZ2 pre-finals. It was Tommy Van der Straus who took the lead by 6.6 seconds ahead of Kevin Stayhauser Third place went to Robin Gleron with 4th Renzo Alibax, 5th Jeffrey Fix, 6th Enzo Boll, 7th place Daniel Tenbach, 8th place Julian Carmen, 9th place went to Yelta Bolmer, and 10th with Jens Truer. Sitter Van Meer takes 11th place, Dominic Reuters takes 12th, Sir Volters in 13th place with Jake Weston in 14th, Ryan Kivitz-Bosch in 15th place, Van der Vinden in 6th place, Witteveen in 17th place with Van Duivenvoort in 18th place, Bremer in 19th, and Mollema in 20th place. Non-finishers with Meyerwitz and Van Sifthout, and a non-start for Nelson Berghaus, who didn't make the start of the second time of asking, unfortunately. So 20 drivers made it to the checkered flag there. And of course, they